Hello everyone, Recap Legends here. Today I am going to explain an American superhero movie based on the Marvel Comics, named Morbius, which was released in 2022. But before explaining, I would like to request that, if you like my explanation, then please subscribe. The movie starts with the Costa Rica forest, where the film's main character, Dr. Morbius, comes before a cave with a crew and some scientists. When he reaches, he tells to people that, there are many vampire bats in this cave and I am going to call them outside right now. After which, Dr. Morbius makes a cut on his hand and point his hand towards that cave, due to which many bats start to come out on sensing his blood. And from here the scene shifts to 25 years back, where we see Morbius, in a hospital, used to live under the guardianship of Dr. Nichols. Here we come to know that Morbius was suffering from a blood disease, due to which Morbius was not able to move or walk properly. Then, Dr. Nicholas introduces Morbius to another boy named Lucian, who was also suffering from the same type of disease that Morbius have. Here Morbius changes Lucian's name to Milo, and with the passage of time, the two become good friends. Both of them were spending time in the hospital, when suddenly one day Milo's medical operating machine gets damaged and he becomes unconscious. As soon as he faints, Morbius starts calling the nurse, but seeing no one come, he opens the machine and fixes it with a spring, due to which Milo regains consciousness in a short time. Now, Dr. Nicholas is left shocked, seeing that Morbius makes this complicated medical machine operative with a minor spring. After this, Dr. Nicholas says to him, observing the ability of Morbius, there is established a school in New York for the brilliant students like you. There will be a concession in your fee if I will recommend you there. And your disease will also be treated with this. Then, Morbius agrees to go there. So he writes a letter to Milo. And he writes in it, I am going to search for the cure for our disease. Now we will meet during the summer vacations. After this, the scene of Sweden is shown in the current time, where Dr. Morbius become young and was going to awarded by Nobel Prize for developing the artificial blood. But Morbius refuses to take the Nobel Prize and returns back to New York and continues the research of his disease with the help of his best friend, Martine. Here we get to know that Dr. Morbius is experimenting with the DNA of bats to end his and Milo's disease. Seeing this, Martine asks, Morbius, does Milo know that you have mixed DNA of human and bat? But Morbius does not respond to this. Here, Martine notices that Morbius has brought many bats along with him from Costa Rica. And he has kept them, locking them in a fish tank. After this, Morbius starts his experiment and mixes the DNA of the bat with the DNA of rat, and start to observe it. But at first sight, the rat becomes unconscious and seems to die. Seeing this, Morbius become nervous and start to move from there, but suddenly the rat becomes conscious and starts to move here and there. Seeing this, Morbius becomes very happy, because of the success of his experiment. Now it's time to experiment on human body, so he goes to meet Milo after this, where he says to him, I have good news and I am near the cure of our disease. He also says that this experiment is illegal in a view of the government, but it is also a fact that we have a very short time. And we may be cured by this experiment. Morbius further tells him, I want to do this experiment, far from this city. After informing Milo of his planned illegal experiment, Morbius receives funding from him to outfit a private mercenary vessel in international waters with his equipment. After this, Martine and Morbius goes into the mid of the sea with their private security guard to perform their experiment. Here Martine tie Morbius and injected the serum, which was made by the DNA of bat, into his body. As the serum goes into his body, Morbius begins to shiver. While the cure works, it transforms Morbius into a vampire, who kills and drains the crew of their blood after they attack him out of fear. After this, once his bloodlust subsides and he regains his senses, a horrified Morbius erases all CCTV footage of his experiment before contacting the authorities and jumping overboard, and returned to his laboratory. After this, two FBI agents start to investigate the incident, which happened on the ship. During the investigation, they become shocked that there is not a single drop of blood in these dead bodies. Now, Milo is also watching the news of this incident and becomes disturbed, watching this news. So Milo decided to go to the laboratory to meet Michael. On the other hand, Morbius returns to New York and discovers he now has superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, and echolocation, with his vampire bats treating him as a bat. Here he also feels that all the bats locked in his lab have also started working according to his gesture. But suddenly, he turns into a bat again, and he starts feeling the need for blood. But this time he didn't want to kill anyone for blood, that's why he locked himself in a room. Due to this, it starts getting worse, but at the same time, Milo reaches there and seeing his condition, he gives him artificial blood, due to which Morbius gets up on his feet to get it again. Watching Morbius walk on his feet, Milo becomes shocked and he too insists on injecting this serum. But Morbius refuses to give him that serum because he knew that if Milo uses that serum, he too will turn into a bat. Here we also came to know that Morbius needed blood to stand on his feet. On the other hand, the officers also reach to Martin while conducting the investigation and inquire about that experiment. But Martin doesn't tell them anything. Actually, she was struggling to keep the truth secret here. And this is where the scene of this movie shifts, where we see a nurse running away in fear. But at the time someone attacks her, and from this, the scene is cut and shown to the morning scene, where we can see the dead body of that nurse. At the same time, Morbius also comes in on seeing that dead body, he starts leaving Fro there, that only then he encounter with those both FBI officers, where one of the FBI officers gratifies Morbius for discovering the synthetic blood, but sees Morbius standing on his feet. He becomes suspicious that only those officers get the news of the nurse's death, and those officers come to know that she has also been killed in the same way as she has no single drop of blood in her body. Hearing this, their suspicion is turned into the surety. So he arrested Morbius and put him in the prison and start to inquire about the incident of ship and about the death of nurse. Morbius has nothing to say in its return, because Morbius knew that he has not killed that nurse. But at the same time, Morbius starts losing control of himself and he starts demanding artificial blood from the officers. But the officers leave from there ignoring his words. At the same time, Milo also comes to the prison to meet Michelle and gives him artificial blood, with the promise that he will get her released from prison in no time. Saying this, Milo leaves his walking stick in prison and leaves from there. After Milo leaves there, Morbius gazes at her walking stick, which makes him understand that Milo must have used the serum and killed the nurse to meet his need for blood. After which Morbius breaks into the prison to stop Milo from killing more people and goes to him and requests him not to kill the people. But Milo ignores his words and starts to fight with Michael. And in the meantime, both of them fight and go near the railway station, where the police try to arrest them both. But Milo runs away after killing all the policemen. But Morbius wanted to stop Milo at any cost. So he meets Martin and asks him to bring some essentials chemical from his lab so that he can make antibodies to that serum. On the other hand, Milo became even more powerful by drinking human blood. He started killing people every day to satisfy his hunger, and when his guardian Dr. Nicholas comes to know about this, he also tells Milo not to kill the people. But Milo ignores his words and kills Dr. Nicholas too. Here, when Milo came to know that Morbius is making an antibody to stop him, he goes to Martin and asks for Morbius's address, but Martin ignores her words and does not tell her anything, due to which Milo attacks and injures her. On hearing Martin scream, Morbius also comes there and starts fighting with Milo, but he cannot stand before Milo. Morbius could not stand in front of Milo because Milo used real human blood to satisfy his hunger, while Morbius had been using artificial blood to satisfy his hunger. Seeing Morbius losing to Milo, Martin calls him to herself and says that you must stop Milo in any case, and if you want to defeat him then you will also have to consume human blood. After which Martin asks him to consume her blood and Morbius starts consuming his blood even though he does not want to, but at the same time Martin also consumes a drop of blood of Morbius, and in no time she becomes unconscious. And after consuming her blood, Morbius, becomes strong and energetic and goes to fight with Milo. Milo attacks him with his big nails and injures him severely. Then Morbius uses his power to communicate with all the bats and tells them to attack Milo together. After which all the bats attack Milo together, and taking advantage of this, Morbius injects antibody serum into Milo's body, due to which Milo dies. This is where the scene shifts and we get to see Martin, who had now completely healed himself and turned into a bat. It has happened because Martin had also consumed Morbius's blood, due to which the bat's DNA would have mixed in his blood and that too would have turned into a bat. In the post-credit scene, we see Ardian, who came to the universe of Morbius, due to the magic of Doctor Strange. It means another part of this movie must be merged with any part of the Spider-Man sequel. From this scene, the movie ends at this point. Thanks. Like and subscribe to my channel, if you like my explanation. See you in the next video. Take care.